It is critical, however, that you do that you actually narrow down as much as possible, because the riches are in the niches. Y'all thought I was going to follow up with another word, didn't you? I'm going to do that. I'm not going to put that out there on YouTube. Are you tripping? Hey there, my loves. Welcome back to my channel and CPTV, the place where aspiring and growing entrepreneurs can turn their passions into businesses and their businesses into freedom. If you like the way that sounds, then this is the place that you are going to want to be, because every Tuesday and every Friday, I am dropping those golden nuggets and giving you the actionable steps, the tips, the tools, the strategies, and the how-tos on how you can grow that 6 or 7-figure empire that you so desire. I am excited to be back with you today. And today we are going to get into one of those topics that I think is so fresh on the mind of starting and aspiring entrepreneurs that it just becomes a paralyzing thing. And that is, how do you really clarify that business idea that you know you want to move forward with in your organization and your entrepreneurial journey, and that you know it's the right one for you? Because oftentimes we, especially when we're starting a business or starting something new, we have this entire tornado of ideas and thoughts and things that are going on in our head. And sometimes it's just so overwhelming to try to figure out what you should really be doing. Because if you make the wrong choice or you pick the wrong thing, you could fail, or you could waste money, or you could lose your appetite for entrepreneurship. So today I am talking to you about clarity. Because with that clarity comes confidence. And when you are confident in moving forward with what you want, you will do it no holds barred, without looking back, and with this certain air and energy about yourself that will make you unstoppable. So let me show you today how to get the clarity that you need and that you want. Let's get to work. Step number 1 in gaining clarity, I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. It's get your mind right. You know that you are on the right track with your business idea when that business idea is in line with your why, when it's in line with your long-term vision, when it's in line with something that you are really good at, when it's in line with something that you find easy to do, and most importantly, when it's in line with something that you have an expertise in, or that you really are passionate and interested in. And I shouldn't say or, I should say and. Expertise and passionate about. Because you could be very passionate about something that you have zero expertise in, and without having expertise, it kind of makes it a not so great business idea. So that's really the number 1 step. If you haven't worked through all of those things that I just mentioned to you, then I want you to go ahead and click up here at the video that I did, actually called Getting Your Mind Right. It comes along with an amazing Get Your Mind Right workbook that you can also download. And it is designed to help walk you through all those things that I just talked to you about: your why, your vision, the stuff that you're good at, the stuff that you have an expertise in, and the stuff that you find easy to do. When you know and you ask yourself those questions, and the answers to those questions are yes, 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 and yes, then you know that you are on the right track to clarifying that business idea. Step number 2, create a mind map. Now, you might be sitting there saying, what you talking about, CP? What's a mind map?
What you talking about, Willis?
Exactly, right? No, mind mapping is actually a technique that you can use to brainstorm, to record, and to organize your ideas. There's multiple ways that you can do it. I've always done it the old-fashioned way, with just a bunch of Post-it notes or a dry erase board and a wall. Anyone who knows me or has ever worked with me knows that I am a sucker for a good dry erase board. Actually, I'm in the process right now of getting an entire wall in my office painted so that it can be a dry erase board, because I need to be able to map out those ideas. Well, it's the same concept when you talk about mind mapping. A good dry erase board where you could just jot down ideas and begin to organize them into categories and topics and into various columns, or a good old-fashioned concept of it is also post-it notes. I've used those before, where I kind of put different things, ideas across the top, and then I'll write down, who it will be targeting, if there's someone out there that would be doing it, if it's in line with my mission and my vision, if I can see myself doing it long-term, if I'm passionate about it. So post-it notes also work. But believe it or not, I'm not going to just keep it old school for you. There is actually mind mapping technology out there. And two of my favorites that I've actually played around with myself in my career and in working through some ideas, whether it's a new product or a new service or, even a potential future business idea, is Kaggle. That's web-based and that's for beginners. So that's a really good one if you've never really used any kind of process, Kanban charts or any kind of mapping type of software. And then Mindly is also one that I did a trial for. I didn't really dive deep into Mindly as much as Kaggle because I didn't find it to be as beginner and user friendly. And so if it's not beginner friendly, I tend to shy away from it just because it's not going to help me impact my audience, because I'm typically working with entrepreneurs that are in their first 5 to 6 years of business and trying to get to that next level. But those are really good technology tools that you can use. But also, ain't nothing wrong with a good old Excel spreadsheet. The whole concept, though, is just to get everything that's in your head out onto paper, mapped all out so that you can really see it and it's not all cajumbled. And then you can begin to kind of categorize and organize and then ultimately begin to kind of pare it down so that you can come up with that perfect idea. So step number 3, now that you have mind mapped and you've also, done that get your mind right, now that all the mind stuff is done, I need you to do this step. And this step is write it all down. Write down all of your possibilities that kind of meet that criteria that I talked to you about in the beginning. So if you have a ton of ideas and say there's 50 of them and you ask yourself those questions about your why, your vision, your long-term goals, your expertise, your skills, things like that, and it narrows it down, let's just say to 10 ideas. Now I want you to write down all of those 10 ideas. Those are possibilities. And then ultimately that is going to make us have a short list of options. Now I want to caution you, because if you don't whittle it down enough, you're going to have a really hard time in steps 4 and 5 that I'm getting ready to go over with you. In essence, all you're going to be doing is making more work for yourself. So get it down to 3, just 3. I had a coaching client once that, basically we were going through this whole process, and she was able to narrow down her ideas to 10. And then I was like, well, you got to get it down to 3. And she's like, there's no way I can get it down to 3. I'm like, all right, well, you're going to have to do all this research on all 10 of them because we are going to get it down to 1. And so that idea in itself really did make her go back to that mind mapping process and ask herself those questions. And we were finally able to get it down to 3. So I encourage you to do the exact same thing. If you're still mapping out that mind map and you've got this list of possibilities and it's still at 10 or 6 or 7, go back to step 1, ask yourself the questions again, and keep narrowing it down until you get to this list that we're on right now in step number 3, writing out those real top 3 possibilities. Now, step number 4 is that short list, or those 3 possibilities that we just talked about. I need you to actually embark upon your research. I need you to do market research. I need you to do product research. I need you to do customer research on all of those things. So those are the 3 things I need you to dive into. And I'm going to be very specific with you here as a teacher and the trainer that I am. I don't expect you to come out of that research phase until you are able to fill up 2 pieces of 8.5 by 11 piece of paper with bullet points on every line on each of those areas. So market, product, customer, 2 pages. So in essence, you're going to finish with a minimum of 6 pages of bullet pointed information that you are going to uncover out there. And I have a whole nother video that kind of walks you through how to research your market, how to access your customer avatar. Please make sure that you check those videos out. I'll link to them and also put them in the description below. They're definitely a part of one of my playlist series, whether it's Side Hustle to Freedom or Starting Your Business. But make sure you check those out because it will give you more specifics. But I need you in this step to get your research done. Once you've done the research, it's going to be really clear to you which one of those 3 shortlisted ideas are viable, that they're really, really good, that you know you can put your heart and effort into, and that people will actually out there be interested in it and buying it. Now, that one idea that you've come up with, don't erase the other 2, don't toss out the other 2 just yet. That one idea that kind of leads the pack, your number 1 final option, I need you to do step number 5, and that is validate it and test it. A lot of people miss this step. You have to validate and test the idea with who your target customer will be. And that, in essence, means asking the target client to utilize your product or service, to give you feedback on it, to allow you to tweak it. You're going to ask them questions about if the price is right, because you're not going to necessarily, when you're beta testing something, I've seen people do it multiple ways. I've beta tested before for free, and I've just picked a handful of people in my life, whether it's friends or family or people who I know would be interested, and actually given them my product or service for a period of time so that I could really perfect it and see if it was truly viable. And I was able to work through whether or not it was a legit price, also get all of my marketing messaging. So I've done a beta test that's free. I've also done a reduced beta test, which as I continue to develop in my entrepreneurial journey and got a little bit bigger and better as an entrepreneur, now my beta tests are usually just discounted beta tests. I don't really do the free ones anymore. But I definitely need you to do that. That's why you hear that word. Even large corporations, when they're coming out with a new product or service, will tell you that it's in beta, it's being tested, so that you can get all the feedback, get all of the information that you need before you put a lot of money and time and effort, so that you can tweak based on the feedback that you get, or you can change it all together. And that's why I said don't toss out those other 2 ideas, because you may find out after validation and testing that that number 1 idea that you had isn't necessarily something that you're really going to be able to move forward with as a true business idea. Maybe it's not going to generate the type of revenue that you're looking for. Maybe it's not going to really be satisfying. Maybe it's going to limit you to being able to move into a certain lifestyle that you want to experience. So hold on to the other 2, because if number 1 comes back from validation and testing where it's not really that viable, then you can actually validate and test number 2 and validate and test number 3. But you definitely have to go through the validation and testing process in order to really gain the clarity that you need to move forward confidently with your business idea. So my love, the problem is not coming up with the ideas. It's actually narrowing the ideas down. It is critical, however, that you do that you actually narrow down as much as possible, because the riches are in the niches. Yeah, I thought I was going to follow up with another word, didn't you? I'm going to do that. I'm not going to put that out there on YouTube. Are you tripping? But in any case, you get where I'm going. Hopefully these tips have helped you really get that clarity and that focus that you need. I know it is a huge concern. When you're starting out as an entrepreneur, it can be completely paralyzing. And just take a moment, take these 5 steps, implement them, do them, and let me know in the comments below if you have found the clarity that you need. And don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, smash it, like this page, and subscribe to keep getting the goods and to keep being in the know when it comes to CPTV. Until next time, my loves, mwah, I'll see you on Friday.